Hey YouTube, special hello to anybody in my singles ward, anybody else struggling with scripture study. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I forgot what number it is. This is a lovely, well, it's a kind of cloudy Sunday. I don't normally do videos on Sunday, but this one's about scripture study and just doing it a little bit better, so why not? I'm just going to talk about things that I do to help get better, help actually study the scriptures every day. Because it's happened at least once in every single, not meeting, it's church. It's happened at least once in every single period of church, every single class, whatever you call it, where like someone says, you know, I'm not very good at studying my scriptures every day and I should do better. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait, what? How is that possible? I do it every day and it's just easy and I just do it. But then I kind of have to step down from my boisterous thought and realize, yes, there are days where I too miss studying the scriptures. And if I think about those days and what happened, I can see how it's possible for other people to miss studying their scriptures daily too. So what I do that helps, first of all, I highly recommend listening to the scriptures. I'm a very audio-visual learner, so that works really well for me. You don't see me reading a lot on the internet unless I can't find a video on it, or the specific, like the title of the article caught my interest. Then I'll read it, you know. I don't mind reading, but I learn better audio-visually. Now, some people don't learn very good with audio-visual, and so listening to the scriptures might go in one ear and go out the other, and, well, don't tune me out if you're that type of person. This can still help. I have some stuff that will help for reading the scriptures, but at the same time, some stuff that will help for listening too. Listening has benefits, and it still might benefit you. So, I mean, first of all, I like to study the scriptures. Book of Mormon, I start in the morning. I always do it every morning. Now, the reason that I like to do it in the morning is because, like, when you read the Book of Mormon, you get the Spirit with you, but it's a timed thing. And so eventually you have to read the scriptures again so that you get more time, the Spirit with you. It's kind of like, and this is a Minecraft thing, but I feel like reading the scriptures at night, that time is going to disappear and you're going to be wasting it because you're sleeping, just like you ate a golden apple and then you go hide in your house where there's no monsters. Kind of a waste of that golden apple, you know. I mean, it's not bad to read the scriptures at night, but I just think that we're kind of wasting the Spirit by sleeping. And I mean, Satan's not really going to tempt us while we are sleeping. I mean, he might, but we're not really going to, we're asleep. So we're not going to go do something wrong, really bad, in our sleep, because most of us were just asleep. And then when we wake up, if that dream or whatever, that tempting thought is still there from the night, just read our scriptures in the morning like we're supposed to. So, but there is actually maybe a benefit to reading at night. So I'd maybe say, like, read something in the morning and then something at night. Get to that a little bit. But the thing, this is from my friend Carrie, who played the Neverhood with me on this channel. She says, the last thing you think about at night, your subconscious mind will go over it in your sleep. So, okay, so maybe read some in the morning and a little bit at night. We'll cover that in a bit. But, you know, listening is a really good method for me, but it has some really great benefits. So, like, if you learn better by actually reading it, then, you know, try and wake up before your day early enough that you can read a couple of verses, if not a chapter, however long you feel. Wake up so you can get a little bit of reading time in and, you know, like do all the praying before you start studying and stuff is good. But you know, also with the audio side, I would download it'll take some space on your phone, but I would download at least the Book of Mormon, so you actually have the audio there and you don't have to be connected to a network to get that, like you do if you don't have it downloaded. But with that, you know, it's really great to be able to listen to it in the morning, because you can do it while you're getting ready for school or work or whatever, and that really, really helps. If you don't learn really well by audio-visual, it's still, you're going to get something by listening to it. If, for whatever reason, it doesn't work to wake up early and read the scriptures in your schedule, you can't wake up with enough time to read it, then listen to it. You're going to get something out of it, 100% guarantee. you might not get the most benefit, the most detail out of it, but do it. And if you can't read first thing in the morning, then listen to a little bit first thing in the morning so you get that spirit and that power. And then later on, you can find some time to actually read it. Like listen in the morning and then read at night before you go to bed. I don't know. But, and it's great. When I wake up, like back when I was actually had a job, I was waking up early in the morning to go to, and I'd catch the bus to get there. I would first get ready and then listen to it on my way to the bus while I'm walking, because that's a little bit more mindless, or if I was driving, I'd probably do it while I was driving too, maybe, because that's a little bit more mindless than thinking about, do I have lunch? Do I have everything packed in my bag that I need to take with me to work? So, you want to find the time where you don't have to focus as much on what you're doing, and you can kind of listen. So while you're driving or while you're walking are good options. There's a bicyclist that came by and the sound kind of scared me. But, so think about that, and just, listening to it can really help, and you can do it while you're getting ready, while you're doing things. Even if you don't have work or whatever, just make sure it's the first thing you do in the day. You wake up, you listen to your scriptures. And when you're doing this, if you find that you get distracted by something, like, oh, hey, there's a penny on the ground, and then you lose track and you're kind of distracted, rewind the audio recording back to the last point that you remember, or just after that, just around there, and which hopefully isn't too long, and then because you should catch yourself pretty quickly if you're actually trying to study. So when you do that, then try a little bit harder to focus. And if you do that a maximum of 2 times, because after the second time of rewinding, you're probably distracted enough that you're not going to get much studying done. It varies from person to person, but for me, like, after the second time, I'm like, hey, I'm not really going to be able to focus on this much. So usually I will just stop the scriptures right there for the day, or if you want, you can go to the end of the chapter, but whichever you choose, do not update your bookmark. Just keep it at the same chapter that you were on that day. Don't update it to the next one. And as you're listening, then the next day you'll find that that you'll remember part of the chapter, so you'll be able to get through a little more because you remember the first bit. Maybe you'll still get distracted again, but you'll remember the first bit and be able to go on and make it towards a little bit deeper in, towards the second bit of it. You'll get more of it. And, it might take maybe possibly a couple of days of listening to the same chapter, rewinding 2 times a day, but you will eventually get it. So I say you can go on to the next chapter when you feel like you actually heard and sort of comprehended. You thought about for at least 2 seconds or whatever, 90% of the chapter. If you've comprehended like 90% of it, then you're good to go. You don't have to understand the meaning or whatever, but as long as you can think in your mind, oh, he just barely said that the Lord commanded us to go into the wilderness. He just barely said that, as opposed to, I'm not exactly sure what he just barely said. So comprehension is when you can kind of, like the second after he says it, you could paraphrase it. You don't have to, but just that kind of thought. Excuse me. So, when you've gotten like 90%, when you feel like you got 90% of it comprehended, then you can move on to the next thing. Now, it's important to study your scriptures daily. There's a difference between studying and reading. The most important is reading your scriptures daily. Studying is going to help you a lot better. I'm kind of in the middle, actually. But, reading is where you just read it, and then you go on with your day and don't really think about it. Studying is where you take time to think about it. So for me, I'm not perfect at the studying part, but what I try and do is I try and think, I try and think about the last thing that I read. Usually, when I get done with the chapter is when I'm probably most distracted, kind of leaning towards what else I'm going to do in the day. But usually when that's done, I go back and I read the last verse just to make sure that I got it, that I heard it, understood it, Last couple of verses, maybe I'll just reread over again. Actually read, not listen, but actually read. And when I do that, then I just think about it for a moment. What does that mean, I usually find that there's a lot of different stuff in the chapter that I'm reading, but when I get to the end and I just think about it, usually it seems to me like the very ending verses are kind of what the whole thing is talking about, in a sense. There are other important details in the earlier verses, but so just take a minute or so after you're done listening to the scriptures to think about it. And that can be a step towards better study of the scripture, not just reading. And I mean, if that's all you end up doing, that's great. Thinking about it will help. And, have your phone ready to write down any inspiration that you get. Just have something easy there, because the Spirit's going to teach you if you're ready to write down what He has to say. If He knows you're listening, then He's going to tell you stuff. So just have something just on your phone, have some program, little app, where you can write down a quick note. And so if you get inspiration, write it down, and just think about for at least a minute afterwards, like, what does it mean? Maybe how can I apply it in this life? But for me right now, I'm just at the what does it mean stage. What does it mean? Oh, He's saying this. And that helps, so that you really understand and realize what the scripture is talking about, what the prophet, whoever is speaking in there, what they mean. And then, it works out really, really nice. So, like I said, so it's kind of rephrased. Read your scriptures in the morning and read at night too, and listen to them will help you possibly get the scriptures in a little bit better. Read them every day, because you can squeeze that in while you're doing something else. You can listen while you're getting ready for work or school or whatever. Try and find a little bit of time for study. And then for nightly reading, for me, I'm kind of doing 3 books a day. I do Book of Mormon in the morning, and then at night I work hard to remember to do a chapter in New Testament, and then a chapter in the Doctrine and Covenants. And then eventually when New Testament's done, I'm going to replace it with Old Testament. And I do the same things for those as I do in the morning. So that for me is my nightly scripture study. That's what I do at night. That kind of, counts, and my subconscious is apparently thinking about it at night. So that's what you can do for night, is pick a different book. You don't have to do 3 books. The Book of Mormon is the most important. And another thing that might possibly help, and this only sort of works with some things, I find for me, for just studying in general, getting the lesson, I find so I don't get distracted, I will play some games on my phone during a lesson. Of course, my volume's on silent and whatnot, but the big thing is that it just helps me study better. If the game is somewhat mindless, then that works. Certain games won't work. A lot of games where you have to do a lot of thinking and planning and quick motion, and Minecraft would not work if you're trying to get a lesson in. No. But some simple games like tower defense type game would work. Or I've got a game on my phone called Color Switch, where it's kind of you tap the screen and you make this ball go upwards. When you let go, he falls back down, and he's a certain color. You have to get him through the right color of obstacles to get to the end. And something like games like that I can play, and I find I get the lesson better, because the right parts of me are doing something fun, focused on that, instead of getting distracted, but then my ears and my mind are also there listening to what the teacher's saying, whoever's speaking in church or whatever, And so you might be able to do that during the scriptures too. Just turn on the audio of your scriptures, open up one of those games and go away. And that's not the easiest thing to do. The scriptures will stop playing, and then when I go back to them, skip to the next chapter if I open up Color Switch. I can have that app open, have the scriptures ready, go to the notification, and start playing from the beginning, and then they'll continue playing through. I can't start from wherever, if I get a minute or so in, I'm I should play Color Switch. Too late. So do it when you're starting the chapter. Other apps don't affect this. They just open up, keep the sound on silent inside the app, and then play it while I'm studying. So that's another thing that can help too. Like I said, it helps for classes and things, but you might be able to use that if you find you have time and you're just getting distracted. Then put on your headphones, make sure your game volume's at 0, but the scripture volume is turned up, which is media volume on your phone. You'll have to turn off sounds in the app itself. And then, you can play, then you can play the game, and that might help you study too, if you want to get better at focusing and learning and reading. But the most important part is that you listen to the scriptures. Even if it goes in one ear and out the other, if you got a busy schedule, listen to them. You are going to get some benefit out of it, as opposed to no benefit because you didn't listen at all. And just try and do it every single day. And, start with a short time period. The other thing with listening too is you might have like a 30-minute set, but the particular chapter you're on is really short. And I say go by chapters because that's how they're incremented. There's not really easy way to skip between, There's not a really easy way to skip to a specific verse in the audio recording of the chapter, unless you want to write down the time that you stopped at, and I think it's a bit too much. So if you want, you can read 2 chapters a day in one day if it's like some short chapters. There are different options and things that you can do for this, and so that's pretty much what I do to help me study in the morning and, study scriptures. Listening helps because I'm audiovisual, but like I said, if you're not, just do it if you can't find time to read, because you'll get blessings out of it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode of Let's Talk, and I will see you guys in another video. I am going to be not doing any more new Let's Talks for a little while, because I want to catch up on a lot of older projects, and even though this is really easy, I take it off of my camera, give it a name, and upload it straight to YouTube. It is, what's the word I'm thinking of? Because I'm doing that, it's really easy, and I could do it alongside, but I really want to put my focus towards getting all of the other projects edited, like my Minecraft episodes that are months old, or year-old food episodes. Ooh, it's starting to like rain or hail. So, if you guys really like Let's Talk, and you want to see more of this, and want to see more as I'm still whittling down my old project sitting on my hard drive, then leave a like, comment that. Just leave your opinion and let me know you want to see more of this sooner than later. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.